Good morning, YouTubers. T-Square here with T-Square Talks. Hope everybody's having a great day. Got a great video for you guys today. Today I was reading through the comments, and I wanted to specifically talk about a couple different comments. One of the comments was how someone had bought a bunch of silver, some 10-ounce bars, at $15 an ounce, and as soon as the price jumped up and he made a nice profit at like 23 bucks an ounce, decided to sell his position. And years later, well, not too many years later, because it wasn't that long ago that it was 23, but later on down the line, we hear more talk of gold, silver in the news. And then he decided to get back into it and start collecting. And there's a couple things that I want to talk about in that comment. And then the second comment was about someone that recently went to a coin show and was able to find a ton of silver at like $1 over spot per ounce, and more people trying to sell it than buy it, essentially. And so I kind of want to talk a little bit about that. So if you enjoyed today's video, please take a quick minute, hit that thumbs up button for me. A special thank you to all of our members of the channel. We will be doing our special live free silver event this weekend for our members. If you're not a member and you'd like to become one, there's still time. It's only $1.99 to become a member, and it's well worth it. Your comments go right to my phone. Plus, once a month, you have a shot at winning a free ounce of silver, and it's pretty cool. It's a lot of fun. Hoping to get a nice package in before we do it, and that way there's a couple really nice things in there that I want to give whoever wins the option. It is a free event for members, and like I said, you guys will really enjoy it. Also, if you're new to the channel, please take a quick minute, hit that subscribe button. And with that being said, let's get started. Leave me a comment what you guys think. So right off the bat, the first thing I want to talk about is the individual that picked up some silver at $15 an ounce. And essentially, I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, look, we're talking 2020, it was $15 an ounce roughly. And we seen that big jump, and then we never really seen it come all the way back down. We seen a lot of movement sideways, but after we took that huge jump, what happened? I mean, the lowest we seen it go down to was $17. 23, there was a lot of opportunity. When he bought it at 15 to go to 23, a lot of opportunity. In fact, almost everything has been above 23 for the board over the last 5 years, with a few dips underneath it. This is something that I hear from a lot of people. It's not the first time I've heard this. It usually doesn't take like a year or two before people realize it. Sometimes it takes a long time. But what happens in most cases is someone gets given silver, or they buy some silver, or maybe they got given one and then they buy some with it, and they end up realizing that, wow, it jumped so quick, maybe it's time to sell. I actually helped out somebody. Him and his partner had bought 4 monster boxes of silver, and one of the partners decided to start picking up gold. He actually picked up like 5 ounces of gold. I told him, hey, I'm picking up some right now. You can pick it up $13.50 an ounce at the time of when he decided to get the gold. The silver he got at 15 bucks an ounce, and he ended up passing away when it was at like $2,000 an ounce gold, and about $29, maybe $30 an ounce on silver. And I still talk to his wife periodically, and I know she's asked me a couple times, hey, I see it's going up. I hear it on the news. Is now the time to sell? I was always told to talk to you about before we did anything. And, you know, my thoughts are, you know, I don't want to say it's never time to sell, but obviously with silver nowhere near the all-time high, it's definitely not time to sell. Gold, it feels like because it's at an all-time high that maybe it's a selling opportunity. But the truth of the matter is there's so much uncertainty in the world right now, and there's so much financial problems in the economy that I really think that we're going to continue to see silver and gold just continue to go up in value. You know, the big question now is, does Fort Knox have its gold? Does it have its silver? And, if we find out they don't have it, it's not going to be good for the dollar. And obviously, these people are in the United States, and some of y'all may be watching from another country. Hey, if you want, leave a comment. Leave a comment and let me know what country you're watching this video from. I love seeing that, only because it just tells me how far out the reach is. But yeah, it doesn't really matter what country you're in. We're going to continue to see the price inch up. And that's because every country in the world pretty much is printing money to try to get out of whatever their problem is. It's the easiest way to handle it, essentially, because if you try to cut the budget and you try to cut spending, you kind of come under fire. You may not get reelected. If you don't do certain things that promote spending, if you say we don't have the money to do it, obviously people don't like that. I find it so interesting that, well, I don't want to get too much into politics. Because some of the same bills that, whether it be the Republicans or the Democrats, I won't say which side, but some of the stuff that one party was against, it seems like, they were for before and now they're against it. And, I find it so interesting how quick people will change their mind on what they're what they want to happen based on who's in. And, the ultimate thing to realize, I think, is it really doesn't matter whether it's a Republican or it's a Democrat in office. The truth of the matter is both sides are going to continue spending. There's no end to the spending, and a lot of that has to do with the debt, the U.S. debt, the amount of interest we're paying, and how there's no end in sight for this, really. When you look at where the bulk of our money goes, it's kind of insane. Each year, look at this, million, billion, trillion, $1 trillion in interest every year. It's just going $1 trillion on interest on our debt. And then on top of that, we have almost $900 billion for national defense. We've got $1.4 trillion towards Social Security, $1.6 trillion towards Medicare. And really, when you take all this, our spending, it's pretty insane. Our debt right now to GDP is 122%. That means we can't even take enough money in to pay off our bills each year. It means that this number is given that it has to continue to go up. And how do they get that money? Well, usually what they're going to do is just print. And that's going to continue to make gold and silver go up until they can find a way to get that under control. And now, there's a lot of talk about them wanting to audit the Fed, but you have to understand, if they audit the Fed and they reset the gold price, what really is going to happen is it's going to give them the ability to borrow even more money. And it's not going to change much facts out there, in my personal opinion. Are there things that can be done? Of course there is. But unfortunately, politicians don't want to do them things because it doesn't look good on them. And despite people having their favorite politician maybe out there, maybe you like one side, maybe you like the other, the truth of the matter is the debt continues to climb. And until we can put that in check and actually have that going down in the opposite direction, we can expect gold and silver to probably go higher and higher. And somebody actually just asked me today, how high do you think gold will go this year? To say that gold will go to $4,000 this year sounds like a big number, but it's not when you really think about it. Think about what percentage that would be. Do I still have that book here? I had a book here before. I'm going to kind of flip through it while I'm talking. When you think about how much gold has gone up, I was hoping I had a chart, and I might actually. 1 ounce gold. No, that ain't it. Darn it. I wanted to pull up the chart on the actual percentage numbers. Oh, I do have it right here. Okay. So I'm looking at a chart right now, and I want you to think about what happened last year. We saw about a 40% climb in the price of gold. And now we're already seeing a rise in gold so far this year. And even though I'm saying gold, I still like silver. I like silver because of the gold-silver ratio, but I don't want to beat that up too much. I have the chart right here at my hands for gold. In 2008, we saw gold go up 42%, which is pretty comparable to what we just seen last year. I mean, we saw about a 40% gain in gold. Now, here's the thing. 42% only took gold from $713 to $1,011. Now, that really doesn't sound like a lot. It's $300 roughly, a couple dollars less. But the thing that you have to understand is the next year we seen gold go up 50%. And then the next year we seen gold go up 34%. And in 2011, we seen it go up 46%. So we had a good run there. Now, when you look at what just recently happened with gold, gold went from 2,000 to 2,800 last year, roughly. And when you think about that for a minute, that's an $800 jump. And now we're already seeing gold picking up even higher. Now we're at $3,022 at the time of filming this video. For us to put on a 40%, let's just say a 33%. If gold goes up 33% this year, that takes $3,000 to $4,000. It takes smaller percentages to equal more money in growth, in profit. And so I think it's inevitable we're going to see higher and higher dollar amounts in the price of gold. When I hear people say gold can never go up to this number or that number, whatever the case may be, what they're not factoring is percentages and essentially the growth, the way that compounding growth takes place. So I think we're going to continue to see both gold and silver go higher. I think we are going to see a little bit more, hopefully, of a pullback before the month comes to an end. A lot of short positions have to clear out as the month does come to an end. When you look at a 3-month chart, we've seen this nice dip, but then we've seen it shock everybody by pushing up even higher on silver. Same with gold when you look at the charts on gold. And we've seen this nice little pullback, but I don't actually think this was it. I don't think this was it. I think we may see a little bit more of a drop, but I can't imagine it going much under where it was essentially, because we're seeing a lot of resistance right around that level. However, I am definitely going to keep my eyes open. We've been seeing some crazy stuff happening at like 4 a.m. and like 9 or 10 a.m. in the morning. We're seeing some crazy drops, and a lot of that does have to do with short positions clearing out. Once the financial quarter is over, the first financial quarter, and we start going into the second financial quarter, then that's it. There's not much to slow it down for at least 3 months. And if it picks up too much momentum going up, because all these short positions are essentially ounces that people borrowed. And if they borrowed the ounces, they have to buy those back and give them back to the person that they borrowed them from. And usually what happens is when they borrow large amounts, the person that borrows them sells them all off on the market. And they're hoping they'll be able to buy them back cheaper. So if someone, let's say you loaned out 1,000 ounces right here, and they loaned it to someone, and that someone all of a sudden beat the price down, what happens? Well, yeah, the price comes down because they're selling all them ounces. But at some point, they've got to give those ounces back to the other person. And most likely, the other person, if they were smart, they not only loan those ounces, maybe those paper ounces, but they ended up taking those ounces and they took the money and then they bought, which is going to drive it right back up. And in most cases, the people that borrowed it also bought. And so there you go. You see it happening, and it kind of pushes it to where it has to go higher each time. And a lot of people don't realize when you're manipulating precious metals, it almost never ends well. All they can do is keep kicking the can down the road. But it's inevitable that we're going to continue to see the price climb. Now, could some crazy thing happen, like they find some new Comstock pile, or they start mining an asteroid, or some crazy nonsense story that we always seem to hear stuff about? But the truth of the matter is they're not going to space to mine asteroids and meteors for $33 an ounce. And could they find another big Comstock? They probably could, but it's getting harder and harder and harder to find that stuff. And it's going to take a lot, and it's going to take a lot of research, and it's going to take a lot of money, because the truth of the matter is, even pulling it out of the ground, it's costing more and more money to pull it out of the ground, because materials getting expensive, equipment's getting expensive, labor costs is getting expensive, and just to set up, it just costs overall more and more money. And as that they pay more and more money to get set up, they certainly aren't going to want to sell it for $33 an ounce. And once people realize that, then, it's inevitable it's probably going to go higher. And unfortunately, some people will have sold their positions at higher prices, thinking they'll be able to buy that position back at a later point. But the truth of the matter is, it's almost a never-ending cycle. And I'm glad that there are people that sell, because if there wasn't people that sell, then it would make it harder and harder for people like me and you to be able to pick some up. Now, moving on to the coin show, that showed a lot of people, I guess, were at the coin show selling. You have to understand, too, some of these people that set up coin shows and booths, they buy a lot of silver from individuals. Some of them buy at super low prices. I mean, I went to a pawn shop the other day, and they had 1 ounce of gold sitting there. I told you guys I offered $3,050 for it, and they wouldn't take it. And they wanted $3,100. And yes, I understand some big bullion companies might charge $3,100, but the truth of the matter is, I'm more after silver right now. Will I take gold? If I could have gotten it at $3,050, then it would have been worth me taking, in my opinion. But if I'm going to pay the same exact price that I'm going to pay at any bullion company out there, then it's not really a good deal to me. It's just an average. I could get that any day of the week. In fact, I could wait for the price to dip and find it somewhere cheaper. Let's just see real quick. 1 ounce gold coin. I mean, the truth of the matter is, now you got to be careful who you trust. JM Bullion, obviously, they're reputable. I hate to talk about companies. But, 3,100, boom, I could get it right now at 3,100. The price could dip a little, and essentially I'll see a better deal if you're patient like me. Although it was actually it was one of these kangaroos right there. Bullion exchange, $3,070. He was determined to get 3,100, and I said, I ain't paying it. I'll give you $3,050. I think that was a mistake, him saying no to that. But I understand a lot of people are getting caught up in this higher and higher prices, and they're wanting higher and higher prices for what they pick up. But there's a lot of people out there that will go to coin shows, and they will accumulate stuff from everyday people that need money. I mean, I pick up stuff from people that need money all the time, and when I do, I mean, that's an opportunity. If I decide I want to sell it and make a few dollar profit, I could. Now, me, I don't like to really sell if I don't have to, especially if I'm already getting a super low deal on something. And thinking that because there's a lot of stuff at a coin show cheap, that maybe the demand is slowing on precious metals. I think you have to be mindful that it's drawing in a big crowd. A lot of people are going there and selling. And anytime you have a platform or an establishment or a coin show where a lot of people are bringing a lot of stuff in to sell, you have to understand that, I mean, ultimately they're going to be competing against each other to get people's money. And in some cases, those people rely on that fiat dollars to be able to trade those metals in for dollars. A lot of times, coin stores and some people, they're not even collectors of the stuff. They're not even stackers. All they are, they might have their personal stack, but they also have those secondary stacks that their design is to move them, to buy them cheap and sell them for a small markup and make a commission. And so when you think of that, you understand that, these people aren't just selling because, they're selling. People like Mike Malone or, I don't know, Peter Schiff or some of these big names out there. I hear people say, why are they selling if they think it's worth so much and it's going to go so high? The truth of the matter is they're selling because it's not their personal stack. It's a company. They're selling it for a profit so they can turn around and buy even more of it and essentially grow the company's stack in their vault. And as that happens, each time they get a markup, and every 10 ounces they sell, well, in this case, gold at $100 per ounce. Every 30 ounces of gold they sell, they maybe get to put one extra ounce of gold in their vault and accumulate more. And it is kind of a game. It's a game of growth. And I really think that people need to consider that for their personal stacks. I think they need to look at their personal stack and say, what did I do this month to acquire a little bit more? Did I acquire a little bit more? Whether it be gold, whether it be silver, is my net worth a little bit higher because I picked up some more bullion or gold or silver, or whatever you choose to stack? I think once you realize that, that's the key factor. I mean, does it really make a big difference? Yeah, if you go in debt a little bit and you stacked a little bit more, those two things kind of offset. I mean, you could essentially sell that gold or that silver to pay off certain debts. Obviously, you don't want to have interest start accumulating to where you've got a huge interest payment compounding every month. But like I said in previous videos, I personally will use a credit card periodically to buy precious metals and acquire that debt with the intent that I will have that money handy when the bill comes due. I know some people always tell me, oh yeah, but if you do that, you pay a higher price. Like I said before, not every company charges more if you pay by credit card. In fact, that pawn shop, when I asked them to see if they would take $3,050 for that coin, I actually told him, if you want, I can even run to the bank and get you cash instead of just putting it on my credit card. And he told me, he goes, I really don't care if you pay cash or credit card. It doesn't affect me any. And I really think people like that don't understand what's really going on, because the truth of the matter is it does affect somebody. His boss has to pay essentially some kind of a Discover Card fee. I don't know what the fee is for Discover Card, but I'm sure Discover Card charges them something for running a credit card for $3,100. And I would be willing to bet that it would have been at least $50. And, the guy told me, he goes, well, I had another one, but I ended up already selling it. So this one is going to be gone too, most likely. And I said, did he pay you cash or credit? And that was going to determine how I was going to make my argument. Unfortunately, he said that he traded him a pew pew. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Some of you might not. Certain words we don't talk about on YouTube unless we want to get in trouble. But he traded him a pew pew and some cash. And I think that in a way, I mean, that worked out for him, because we don't know what that guy paid for the pew pew. And the pawn shop is looking at it like, hey, we're going to sell it. We're going to make even more money off of that. And so that's basically how they do it. Now, I've thought about going back there and saying, hey, I'll trade you this, or I'll trade you that, or if you give me a break on that. And then going from there and seeing what they say on that note. But who knows? I just want to make sure that people understand, just because you go to a coin shop and there happens to be a good deal, or just because you find somebody, an individual, selling some silver at some super low price, does not mean that that's the market value, the demand price, the fair price. I mean, the truth of the matter is, I would say the same thing if somebody was selling an ounce of gold for $5,000. Just because they're asking $5,000 does not make it worth $5,000. Right now, obviously, the spot price is the key that I always look at. Once you look at the spot price and you understand that anything over this number or anything over this number, that's your premiums. But here's the thing. Just because you think silver is going to go to $50 an ounce does not mean that you want to pay $48 an ounce today. Obviously, you want that gain for holding it, and I want them gains for holding it. So obviously, I want to get it as close to this price as possible. Well, 306 would be really nice, but that ain't going to happen. Now, like I said, you're not going to find anything for $33, I don't think. Excuse me. But you do want to try to get it as close to them numbers as you can. And there are deals out there to be had. Obviously, coin shows are a great opportunity. Some people that set up at these coin shows are just individuals that have been stacking for, who knows, 10 years, 15 years, maybe even 20 years. And they're just looking to get rid of some to offset their retirement. I had one friend, he asked me, he goes, what do I do when I'm about ready to retire? What do I do with my stack? Should I just like take it to the refinery and just sell it all? I said, no, you should just sell what you need to sell to offset your income. If maybe your Social Security is, let's say, $1,000, I don't know what Social Security is, but if your Social Security is $1,000 a month and you spend $2,000 a month in living expenses to live a decent life like you live, then maybe you just want to consider selling $1,000 worth of metal and offset and keep the other stuff, because chances are, as you get further and further into your retirement down the road, and we'll say 5 years, you've been on Social Security for 5 years, if you sold all your metals on day one of collecting Social Security, now you're holding cash. That cash is getting devalued. But if you're holding a certain amount of metals, it doesn't matter if you're holding the metals, because usually the metals will continue to go up in price. And I think that's important that people realize all that. With that being said, I'm going to wrap the video up here. I thank you all for watching. There's not really anything to show you with the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, or any of that, because the truth of the matter is the markets aren't open. They open up tomorrow morning, and we are ending the first financial quarter, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. We do have the DXY trading at 104 right now, which is a little higher than it was the other day. We just showed you the gold price right now. I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see a little bit of a dip tonight, maybe even early tomorrow, or early this morning. But I'm filming this video, like I said, I'm filming this video at 1:20 on Monday morning, 1:20 a.m. So this video will actually go up in about 4 hours. We'll see how this plays out. There's still a little opportunity before the month comes to an end to try to cover those short positions. And as always, I think they will. So I'm keeping my eyes open, looking for deals. Silver at 33.09. And if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Check out all of our other great videos. We try to post videos every single day, which gives you a lot to watch, and a lot of good information on different topics. If you have a topic, leave a comment, and who knows, your comment could be the purpose of tomorrow morning's video or the next morning's video. As if I get a couple comments that I like, I will try to tie them up together now. There's not a whole lot going on in the markets right now, so I've got to use the comments to try to come up with videos and try to, put some rational into what people think, if they're negative on silver, and why it's not what it seems. I mean, there's a lot of manipulation out there, and they don't want you to know what's going on, because if you know, then you get out of the dollar and you move into precious metals, or you move into other assets, and then essentially you're not left holding the bag. So we'll see what happens. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys again next time on T-Square Talk. Be sure to check out some of these other great videos. Take care, everybody. Have a great one. Bye-bye.